Greetings, my name is Eddie Stern, and today we're going to talk very briefly about back pain and do a few yoga asanas for back pain relief. It is estimated that about 540 million people are suffering from lower back pain at any given time on our planet, and about 31 million of those people are in America. Back pain leads to about $100 billion in costs per year in America alone, and globally it is much higher. Back pain has a bunch of different causes, and the back pains that we're going to be speaking about today are not things that come necessarily from falling off a ladder or getting in an accident or having some kind of maybe mishap during an exercise regime. Those are all back pains that have specific causes, and you have to treat them in a specific way. But most of the back pain that people are experiencing is called non-specific lower back pain. It might not have a specific cause, or it might have come from something very innocuous, like reaching to pick up your telephone and you feel something go in your back and you have crippling pain, or bending over to tie your shoe. So those things don't come just out of the blue. There has to be some lead up to causing your spine to be in a condition where it is going to experience a pain or maybe a pulled muscle or whatever it might be, but it doesn't just come out of the blue. It comes from something. And the two primary causes that it's going to come from are, number one, sedentary lifestyle, where we're sitting in chairs all day long, we're not as mobile as we used to, we don't exercise as much as we used to, ride bikes or walk. Rather, now we're riding motorcycles and scooters and driving in cars or taking public transportation. So a lot of the time of our days in industrialized nations are spent sitting down. This is going to weaken our abdominal and our back muscles. So the axial muscles wrap around from the back of the spine through the abdominal muscles. And there's a big chain of muscles and many layers of them. And if we're sitting down in chairs all day long, slouching, bent over computers, then a lot of pressure goes into the lower back muscles. The abdominal muscles become untoned or weak, and our posture becomes very poor. And then we have gravity pressing down on us all through the day, pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. And also we're not hydrating or drinking enough water. So the things that usually are protecting the space in between the bones of the spinal cord, called our discs, which need hydration to stay kind of puffy and gelatinous, those are getting dehydrated as well. So we have a whole combination of things. We have sedentary lifestyle, we have lack of hydration, we have gravity, and then on top of that we also have stress. And stress is going to begin to impact us in ways where our sympathetic nervous system, which sends messages from the brain to the body through the spinal cord about protecting yourself from environmental demand, stays on alert all the time. And as it begins to send out messages to the body that you need to be on alert, because you're getting texts all through the day, or you're getting emails that you have to answer, or there's a lot of demand on you, then all of these messages that are coming through the sympathetic nervous system begin to create low or sometimes even high levels of inflammation in the body. And that is signaling to the pain receptors to send messages to the brain that you're experiencing pain. So there's just a few things we need to do. Number one, drink more water. Number two, think about gravity and change the way your body is in relation to gravity once or twice a day. Maybe lying flat down on your back, putting your legs up a wall, or standing up and walking around, doing some light stretching. And then the last thing is deal with stress perception. Learn how to breathe long, slow breaths. Learn how to perceive the incoming demand that you have towards you in different types of ways. Thinking that if I structure my day in particular ways, and I'm really good with time management, and I know how to prioritize, then the demand coming at me is not going to be overwhelming, but I'll learn how to deal with it. And finally, as well, in regards to environmental demand and obligations that we have to fulfill, to understand what are the things that I really have to do now, what are the things that I can do later, what are the things that I don't need to do at all because someone else can probably do them, or maybe they don't even need to be done. So we have to really be discerning about the stuff which is coming towards us. And that's a shift in perception. And that's largely what yoga is about. Yoga, as a philosophy, is about developing discernment in the mind so we can see what is real, what is not real, what is necessary, what is not necessary, what do we need to do now, what can be done later, how should we act in this moment, how should we not act in this moment. These are all the things that the yoga philosophy really dwells on at length. So if we can adapt some of these mental outlook changes, then the sources of stress are going to become diminished. They're going to have less power over us. Okay, so that's one thing. We have this non-specific lower back pain coming from sedentary lifestyle, coming from stress. These are the two major causes of lower back pain. So what we're going to do is a couple of simple things that both can be temporary relief, not necessarily long-term relief, but temporary relief, as well as preventative for the recurrence of lower back pain. So if you do these few things probably for a few minutes every day, you are going to begin to train your spine to be more of an upright position throughout the day. And when your back becomes tired during the day because we can't sit up straight all day long, then you have a few things that you can do as a break. You can go, okay, after a few hours of sitting at my desk, I'm going to lie on the floor and do these stretches, or I'm going to stand up and do a couple of stretches. Okay, so let's do a couple of simple things. If you have really debilitating back pain where you can't even lie down on your back or you can't sleep through the night, then of course you need to see a doctor and you need to have some professional treatment. Usually just doing an exercise routine or a yoga video isn't necessarily going to help with that. If you're able to lie on your back now, then each of these exercises we're going to be doing will probably be useful for you. Okay? So let's please lie down on the backs and just rest the palms up for a moment and rest the feet a little out to the side. And the first thing we're going to do is pelvic tilts and tucks. We're going to bend the knees so the feet come flat on the floor. We're going to rest the palms down. Our feet should be not closer than our middle fingers being able to touch the heels. So this is a very subtle movement. The first thing we're going to do is exhale and push the lower back gently towards the floor. Try to breathe through the nose. And then we're going to relax the back away from the floor on the inhale. Exhale, press the lower back gently towards the floor. Inhale, relax the back away from the floor. Continue doing this on your own a few times. And as you exhale, I'll just describe what happens when you're pushing your lower back towards the floor. Your pelvis comes into something called a posterior tuck, sometimes called a posterior tilt. And so we're tucking our pelvis a little bit under here. And when you're relaxing your spine away from the floor, your pelvis comes into something called an anterior tilt. So the back is arching or extending a little. So what we're going to do now is we're going to begin accentuating that movement a little. So when you exhale, you focus on the pelvis doing a tuck. When you inhale, you relax your spine and then begin to exaggerate just slightly the tilting motion of the pelvis. Exhale, the pelvis tucks and the back comes flat down. And inhale, the pelvis tilts and the pubic bone reaches away from you. So you only want to do this within the limits of feeling no back discomfort whatsoever. If you feel any pain in one of those positions, make your movement just a little bit smaller. If your back is really uncomfortable, you can only make small movements to do this. If your back feels not so bad, the movement can come a little bit longer. But remember, no pain while you're doing it. Okay, let's relax the spine for a moment. And then the next exercise is going to be bending your knees in towards your chest one by one, hold your hands on the very front of your kneecaps, not on the sides of the legs, but on the fronts of the kneecaps. The knees can be a little bit apart, and as you inhale, your toes are going to gently come towards the floor till your arms come straight. And then when you exhale, you're going to bend your knees in towards your chest. So my knees are apart, my knees are coming a little bit out to the side of my ribs. My knees are not together pulling straight in. For a lot of people, if you have back pain, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to let the arms come straight and the toes come pointing towards the floor. And then we'll bend the elbows and gently pull the knees out to the sides of the ribs. Inhale, the arms come straight. Exhale, the knees come in. And so if you notice as I do this, my legs are not up in the air. Sometimes people habitually just keep their legs locked up like this. Now that can be done, but it puts a greater stress on the back. So to start, just relax your feet, relax your lower legs, and let everything happen from your knees. That's all. So do that a few times. Exhaling, the legs come in. Inhaling, the toes point towards the floor. So basically, this is a pelvic tilt and tuck, but your legs are moving along with your pelvis. Feel that one time. Feel how your legs move along with the pelvic tilt and tuck. Now we're going to let the arms come straight. Put the hands on the floor and lower your feet down to the ground. Stretch one leg out at a time on the floor. And rest on the back for a moment, breathing in a long, slow inhalation, and breathing out a slow exhalation. Draw your feet together. Bring your hands flat on the floor with the palms down. Inhale your arms over your head to the floor behind you. Keep your arms reaching over your head with the hands spread apart. And breathe 3 times slowly. 1, 2, and exhale on 3, your hands back down to the floor. Please bend your knees so your feet come flat to the floor and your heels are not closer than your fingertips. There'll be a little bit of a anterior tilt here. Pull the lower belly slightly in and lift your hips a few inches off the floor, pushing your heels down. Doesn't matter how high you come, you don't have to come super high. Rise up on the shoulders just a little. Feel the gluteal muscles and the lower back muscles engaging. And we'll breathe here 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly lay your spine to the floor. And when your back rests down, stretch your legs out onto the floor straight. And then one more time, we'll inhale the arms over your head to the floor behind you, stretching through your fingers and keeping your hands shoulder width apart, pointing the toes, and breathe. If for any reason your hands don't touch the floor, just bend your elbows as much as you need to until you feel your hands resting down. It's about 2. And on 3, exhale your hands to the floor by your sides. And let's again bend the knees so the feet come flat on the floor, not too close in. And now keeping your hips in an anterior tilt, in the pelvic tilt, pull the lower belly in, don't flatten your back to the floor, lift your head and shoulders a few inches up off the floor, look in between your knees, and breathe. 1, 2, 3, keep a little bit of a pelvic tilt, 4, and 5. Slowly come down. So keeping a little bit of a pelvic tilt there will ensure that the abdominal muscles of the lower belly are engaging flat down. Straighten your legs out on the floor. Rest the palms up for a moment. Breathe a long, slow inhalation. And a slow exhalation. And next, lying on your back, draw the legs together. The palms are flat on the floor. Slowly draw your right heel in towards the buttocks. Lift your leg up off the floor. Hold on behind your thigh at the base of the thigh. Pull the leg gently in towards you, not too close. And then release your foot to the floor, and then slide your heel away. This is nice if you're wearing socks also. It's a little harder on a yoga mat. Draw your heel in towards the buttock. Lift the foot off the floor. Hold on behind your thigh and pull the leg gently in. And then release the foot down to the ground and stretch your leg away from you. And then let's do the left side. Draw the leg in slowly. Pull the foot off the floor. Hold on behind your thigh. Pull the knee in gently towards you. And then release your foot to the floor. Straighten the leg back out. And then draw the left heel in towards the buttock. Pull the knee in towards the chest. Hold on behind your thigh. Gently pull the leg in. And then release your foot to the floor and stretch the leg out. You'll do that one more time on the right side, and this time we'll hold for a few breaths. Drawing the right heel in towards the chest. And then you can either interlace your hands in the front of your ankle or behind your thigh. But please don't hold your knee. If you hold your knee, it closes off the very front of the hip flexors. It's still a good pose, but it does something different. But if you have back pain, you might want to try holding onto your ankle or again behind your thigh. And this way, as you pull your knee slightly to the side of your ribs, you're creating more space through the front of your left hip, which of course gets shortened when we're sitting in chairs all day long. And after a few breaths here, I'm going to first rest my foot to the floor, and then I'm going to slide my leg away. And now draw my left heel in towards the buttocks. I'll lift the heel off the ground. I'm going to interlace my fingers in front of my ankle. I'll gently pull the leg in. Relax here and breathe. Lengthening through the front of the right hip. And then after a few breaths, I rest the foot down and straighten the leg out. And now just rest on the back for 2 slow breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's bend the knees so the feet are flat on the floor and stretch your right arm out over your ear. Turn over onto the right hand side of your body. Just rest on your side for a moment. Let the body relax. And then pushing down with your left hand and bending your right arm in, we will come back up to sit. Come into any comfortable cross-legged position. Feel the spine lifted straight and even. And then that will conclude this short video and this short practice. You can repeat these practices several times. We just did everything twice. You could do 3 or 4 times, even 5 times for each of them. You can stay for a few more breaths. And it basically, in a very simple fashion, addresses some of the main areas where back pain is occurring. So it can be preventative. It might not be completely curative, but it certainly can be helpful. And you can try these things and see how they work for you. And in future videos, we'll do a few more different asanas that are also helpful for back pain. But remember the 3 important things. Number 1, managing stress. Number 2, focusing on posture and gravity with these asanas. And number 3, make sure you drink enough water. And of course, you have proper nutrition, because if we're not eating well, and we're not drinking enough water, this is also going to contribute to our stress levels and also the pain levels we have in the body. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.